Welcome to the Beyond Electric Sheep podcast. I'm Rick Thompson.
And I'm Ed Daniels.
Hey, Ed, we haven't recorded for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Wanted to get together and talk about a couple topics. I think for this episode, we'll dig in a little bit to these deep research tools.
Yes.
There's multiple. I mean, the first one I used was over on Gemini.
Right.
And then actually, I don't know if DeepSeek has one, but ChatGPT has one now. Right. And I've been using that a lot, and it's quite good.
Right.
What's your experience so far?
When I first heard that Deep Research was available, and then I logged onto my ChatGPT and I saw it down there, I definitely had to start experimenting with it. So I immediately I did some biographic research. I looked up a few people that I work with. I asked it to generate a whole sort of rundown of recent activities of different people. I don't think I did you, but I did some other people.
Probably wouldn't be that interesting.
Yeah, and it really does a good job of digging in, and you have to wait for possibly 5 minutes or something like that for it to actually generate. But I found it was remarkable, and of course, it gives you links along with it, so it identifies its source material. So anyway, I thought it was a great tool.
It's pretty amazing. So for anybody who hasn't used it, it's a mode you can set in ChatGPT. There's a little button down in the field where you put in your prompt that says Deep Research. Right. You put in your question, and typically it comes back and asks you some clarifying questions.
I found that in every case it comes back and asks, tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for.
Yeah, I always answer all those.
Yeah.
And then it goes out to the internet and searches sites. I've had it search as many as 69 sites.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll be 17, sometimes less. But it can be a lot. And so it gets a whole plan for how it's going to do the research that you've asked it for.
Yep.
It goes out and does all that research on the internet. It compiles the data it finds and then writes you a report. And if you've specified how you want it to write it, like I often do, here's the sections I want, and I want a comparison table at the end, and so on. It does a great job of that. And as you said, as it's going, it almost has footnotes. They're just links, actually, to the websites where it got the data. I find that useful because you still want to verify that it's not hallucinating, especially if it's an important data point, and so you can do that.
Right. So to just stop on that point for a minute, because, while I was sort of exercising this tool, I generated several of these, again, kind of focusing on biographies of certain people, and I wanted to send them their bio in a way just to say, wow, look at this amazing tool, and look how great you are for all the stuff you've accomplished. Yeah. But I
did they appreciate it, or were they freaked out?
Yeah, no, they were. I sent one. Well, my son, who, as you know, is a spine surgeon, he said, wow, look at all the stuff I've done, which was true, and quite an understatement. But another couple, actually, they started a company down in Boulder, actually, and built the whole company and then sold it. And so I decided to run it on them. It came back with some great answers, but I did warn them. I said, hey, take a look at this, but don't automatically send it out to people. Review it first because, still it's an LLM. It can hallucinate. And in fact, it did a really great job, but it did sort of make up the fact that they had grandchildren, and they really didn't have grandchildren.
Funny.
So, it is something, just to remind anybody that's using it as a tool, you can't automatically accept it all as true.
So when it came out, you had to pay for the $200, I think they call it Pro subscription, $200 a month. And that was the only way to try it. And so I went ahead and paid. My company paid the $200 so I could use it for a month. And I started using it. Some of the first things I used it for were preparing for meetings with sales prospects.
Yeah.
So I would put in the name of the company I was going to meet with and the name of the executives and ask it to give me basically a briefing document for the call I was going to have. Tell me about their competitors, their industry, what challenges do they have. My company's in the data business, so what KPIs do they care about, what measures do they care about, anything about their funding, if they're PE owned, all of that stuff, and then a bio of all the key executives.
Yes.
And I go into these meetings so well prepared. I don't even have to study it. I mean, I just read it. It goes off for 15 minutes and creates this thing. I read it for 15 minutes, and it's unbelievable.
What a great tool. That is great, and and so there we got a couple of use cases. Sort of me, sort of doing bios of various people that I'm interested in. You're preparing for these meetings with sales prospects, and I also did an analytical one looking. I'm in the sort of have a history in the healthcare IT business, so I was looking at, well, how is AI applied to this one specific area of healthcare IT? I gave it some pretty good prompts and clarified really what I was looking for. It did a fantastic job, produced about a 20-page briefing that includes the references and citations on this particular topic, including I hadn't actually asked for some ideas about how these companies were using AI, but it added in a little bit about here's how they're using it and here's how they might be able to use it. So it actually took a little bit of initiative there. But this report, again, I'm sort of assuming, I didn't assume this, but I mean assuming that it didn't hallucinate anything in there. But if it was perfect and I had vetted the entire thing, which I haven't finished doing yet, that this thing would be a multi-$1,000 consulting report, and it's produced in probably maybe half an hour when you include me putting the prompt together, reviewing things, asking for some revisions. So impressive value.
Yeah, well, that's a good point on the prompt. I just use regular ChatGPT to help me build the prompt.
Yeah.
But talking about the economics of it, so now I don't know if the free version of ChatGPT has access. I don't think it does, but the $20 a month version does.
Yeah.
And I think you get 10 of them a month.
Well, I don't know what the number is, but all I know is I'm so excited about this. I'm building all these things. I got a couple stacked up, ready to go, and it says,
"You're out."
Sorry, but
come back April 11th.
Back 8th in my case. But
okay.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So.
But with your premium version, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I was going to do it 1 month and turn it off.
Yeah.
I've kept it because, just as you said, it's like having an intern, a smart intern, like a graduate level intern that goes off and does a week of research and gives you a 20-page really good report. If you did that once a month for $200, that would be worth it. Depending on your business. I mean, I'm in professional services, so really worth it. And I probably do a dozen a week at this point. So it's really easy to justify the expense in a business setting, maybe less so in a personal setting. I can tell you I use it personally constantly. If I'm thinking about buying something, I have it go and research the market.
I know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Actually, I forgot about that, but I was looking at cars. I might replace my pickup truck or whatever, and so I was looking at different options in the pickup trucks. It did a great job at that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and you can. I can't remember what I was searching for, but I said, give me the low-cost version, the medium-cost version, and the no-holds-barred version. And what do you recommend on those? And it was fantastic, really good. So I have a friend, an associate, not at my company, but a different company, running a company, and I started talking to him about this. He also does professional services, and he said, "Okay, I'll try the $200 and give it a try." This was back when you couldn't get it on the 20. He loved it so much, he's changed the processes in his company and has bought the $200 a month version for most of his professional services delivery people. Because it's as though you're giving them, for $2,400 a year, you're giving them a graduate level intern that works 24/7, can work on 5 of these at once. Have you ever done that? You can tee up a bunch at once.
No, I haven't.
They just
actually
run
done
in the
that.
background.
I need to do that.
You can start it and turn off your computer and come back later, and it's there in your list of chats, and you can pull it up. Anyway, he's all in. He thinks it's going to revolutionize his business and be able to deliver much higher value to his clients, and do a lot more with the time.
I can see that definitely. Yeah, like you say, in the professional services industry, consulting, like what I was saying about that particular healthcare area. Yeah, it's super productivity aid.
Yeah,
so that's great.
So there's that. You can use it over on Gemini, Google Gemini.
Right. I was going to say that when ChatGPT sort of told me, no, I'm not giving you any more of these until into a couple of weeks from now, I immediately cut over to Gemini and started using that. It was great.
Yeah, I don't know what the limit is on the $200 a month one. I haven't hit it though, and I don't know. Last month I probably put 60 through, something like that. So maybe there was a limit. Maybe if I got to 100, it would say. No. So that's really cool. For listeners who are going to try it, when you go to ChatGPT, make sure you choose the 4.0 model. The Deep Research button will be there.
Right.
I think behind the scenes it actually uses their new thinking model called 3.0 or 03, sorry, 03. So that's going on behind the scenes, but it looks like you're on 4.0. Anyway.
I used 4.5.
And it still works?
And it still works.
Okay, all right. But you're not going to find 03 in that button, I don't think. Anyway, it may have changed at this point. So.
But it's highly recommended. I just think that people should try it.
Definitely should.
Again, just like anything here in the AI world, don't trust it 100%.
No.
I don't trust people 100% either. So, but it's an amazing tool.
Depending on your use case. I mean, just personally to do research for purchases and stuff, great. If you have the $20 a month one, you probably don't need more than 10 of those a month. But professionally, if you do anything where you could use someone doing research for you, I mean, it's amazing.
Yep.
All right. I guess that's enough of that. We just did an advertisement there.
Highly recommended. Well, OpenAI, but also Google for Gemini. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Talk to you soon.
Yep.